I'll ask a couple of questions for the panelists, and then I'll have you guys ask questions too. So we'll have, I guess I'll have to walk around then, since there's 2 mics. But yeah, we'll walk around and like have you guys an opportunity to ask questions, and then we'll switch back and forth from there. So the question for both of you, what are some influences that helped you make your film, or why did you decide to be part of the film that you're in?
So for Mike, it's a semi-autobiographical experience for me. I went to South Dakota. So I was born and raised in Vietnam, and then when I was 16, I went on an exchange program, and they dropped me in South Dakota. And it was, you know, as you can see from Mike, it was a very interesting experience. So that was, but it was sort of like a mixture of everything of how it feels like to be Vietnamese. Sometimes, you know, in a place where we're able to connect with other people, with other Vietnamese, you know, and being able to, you know, have a chance to connect through culture, and then, you know, experience a place where you don't even meet another Asians. So that was like a very interesting experience that I thought like maybe like high school student, especially you guys, like we made this film for you guys. So honestly, I'm super happy. We got like a great crowd to show the films.
Nice.
I can speak on behalf of Long, the director, and then I'll answer my own version of that too. So One Summer Night is a semi-autobiographical film based on our director's own life. He lost his father quite early on, and he also has a brother, and he's the younger of the two. But for the film, he decided, instead of portraying himself and his brother, who was very nice, and like there's no conflict between them. Actually, if anything, his brother was much more loving and like parental than who he was to Hai. So what his concept was he split himself into two. The part of himself that was really angry and upset and kind of resentful of having to like stay back and take care of everything and give up his own life, and then for an ungrateful brother, and then the other side who's just like, why is this happening? Why can't we just keep dad alive? Like the one that just wants it all to happen. And so this is about his life. For my part, I'm the older one of the two in my household, and I was also born in Vietnam. And when I first came over here, it was one of the very many immigrant stories of your parents having to work really hard in jobs that pay being criminally underpaid. And so they were never around. And so I was 5, my brother was born, and I basically became his pseudo father for the next 5 years. And so that's how I connected to my character. It's like, when the script was written, there was a lot of places where it was like, you know, say this in English, but any of the Vietnamese that you hear that my character speaks, it was a collaboration with the director, because when I was growing up, I would always use Vietnamese to kind of like punish my brother or like put control over him. We talked about that trauma already, we're not doing that anymore. But yeah, like we kind of pulled from my own life, yeah.
Oh, nice. So, so I noticed there's a lot of references to High School Musical in the short film set. Why did you add those references in your films?
Yeah, so High School Musical honestly was kind of what introduced me to films, and I won't be ashamed of saying that. You know, like I guess I do get a chance to be able to watch other films that really influenced me to be following this, but High School Musical, I have no shame in saying that I watched that and I was like, you can make those things. So I feel like High School Musical really showed me when I was in Vietnam what it's like to be in high school in America, or at least that's the dream, to be there, to be able to pursue sport, but you could also pursue musical theaters, you could also sing in school, whatever, but it's just like that energies of high school. And so for me, I found that so interesting when the impact for this film and this story specifically, that the protagonist, he is using High School Musical as sort of his North Star of what he expects the high school should be. And there are so many other films as well. You know, Camp Rock is a great example. Hannah Montana is also a great example of these type of high school films. And then realities kind of hit you when you are not in like a position where, oh, I'm an Asian, I'm a Vietnamese person in an area where they have never barely like meet a Vietnamese before, let alone like, you know, seeing me for the first time flying over here. So I just found this to be a necessary contrast to kind of show how isolation can sink in, especially when you have an expectations of how you expect American high school to be. So for me, that was very much both a personal and tactical thing for the story to work.
That's cool. I didn't realize. I'm like, wow, Zac Efron's referenced a lot in your film. Like, all right, let's see what the director says. All right, for Tom, so male grief in the Vietnamese community is rarely portrayed in the narratives. What made you focus on this portion of your time? Oh wait, no, wrong person. My bad. So male grief is not portrayed much in media and film as an Asian American person. How did you go about preparing for the role and on set of the film?
That's two long questions. Male grief is not portrayed, yes. So that is a problem right now, especially in the Asian community, especially in the Vietnamese community. I'm lucky in the sense where my parents are super emotional. To this very day, like, I don't care how old I'll ever be, they're still gonna run up to me and like all of that as if I'm still 5. But when it gets to like grief, I actually still don't know how my dad feels about his dad's death, about our recent uncle's death. They just bottle it inside. To portray that correctly, you still have to do it, right? But because the medium of film gets really close to your eyes, you can always see the emotion behind everything. And it's like when your parents are upset with you, or someone that you care about is sad. Like, they might not say it, but if you talk to them, you look at them, you can tell, it's in their eyes. And so the way I went and prepared for it was I just kind of thought about just all the sacrifice that I had to do for my brother, for myself. And then I also imagined a world where, you know, my parents are gonna go. And one of the big things that I talked about with Long, the director, was like, you know, we don't have a lot of time, as much as time as we think with our parents. And especially as Vietnamese people, we have a culture of either keeping the stories from their past to themselves and not sharing it unless being given a space to share it. And if I don't go about helping them open up about that, I'll never get these stories, I'll never get my history. And so I imagine a world where it's like my parents passed and I just would never get any of that. That was incredibly sad. So yeah.
Thank you for your answer. I'll ask if the audience have any questions. Anyone so far? All right, back there. Let me walk over there. All right. I'll do it. All right, your question.
My question is for the movie Mike. I want to know more about South Dakota. I've not been there. I grew up in Orange County. What a good bubble here. Now, we're so diverse, we're used to it. So my question is, can you talk to us about your experience in Dakota education? Because I saw, you know, a Bible class. That is something we don't have here, that is in public education. And my second question is to the One Summer's Night, the finale. I felt like I was really curious about the dad's speech to hide the older brother, and I don't think that was the actual speech. So I'm feeling like, oh, waiting for chapter 2 to finally, you know, realize what that speech was about. So if you can give us some insights into that.
So first of all, thank you so much for the questions. For Mike, so it is the reason why I really cannot call completely autobiographical. It's like a semi thing because it is really truly, it's sort of a blend of everything and different location I've lived in. So South Dakota, I went to a public school, but the public school, my class when I was a junior, we have four people in my junior years, and even less in senior. So you can imagine the school is super tiny and super small, and so everybody, you know, when you're in that small town in South Dakota, you grew up and then maybe you go to college in South Dakota, in some school in South Dakota, you come back to the town. So people there have known each other for a long time. So to see this, you know, was was something that they did not expect. And when in my senior year of high school, I moved to Pennsylvania to go to a Baptist school, which is where the inspiration for Christianity is coming from, in a sense that I've been to a new state, a new area, a better school, but I can sense the same kind of atmosphere, the same type of culture that the people who are living in Pennsylvania is sort of similar to South Dakota. And I see that sort of connections, and how does that kind of represent some part of America as a whole in terms of how they perceive other and how they perceive Vietnamese. And you know, because of course, like, whether we like it or not, the war is still something like leaving a remnant 50, 60 years, that even in these areas, that is all they know about Vietnam. That's all they know. There might not be a restaurant to serve pho there, because, and so for them, Vietnam exists within the context of the war and of, oh yeah, that's it, there's no pho. I just mentioned that. I was like, that's crazy. But yeah, like, so,
There it is. My cousin owns the place.
really, which part?
Uh,
Because I live like in such a tiny town, like in the far outskirts of
Sioux
South Dakota.
Falls. You have to go to the big city.
Oh yeah, so small, yeah. Yep, but if you're in so small, yes, absolutely. So
It's
for
called Vietnam House.
Vietnam
Shout out to
House?
Vietnam House in
It's
Sioux
called
Falls,
Vietnam
South
House
Dakota.
in Sioux Falls, so follow them.
Yes, if you're in Sioux Falls in South Dakota, you should run to Vietnam House. But yeah, so for me, like, I feel like there is like a sense of different type of education all over different states I've been. And the funny thing is, the Bible teacher, she's actually based on someone that I meet in Washington, D.C., which, you know, when you're in D.C., you would expect it to be much more open-minded, much more liberal, and then there is that same sense of otherness, even in the way that, you know, these personalities like see us. So for me, that as a whole, like, I see that experience as how categorize the kind of sort of like antagonistic isolation that Mike has to face. So thank you for your questions.
It's interesting because for one summer night, the last speech, what did Dad say to both of us? So what the director told us individually was separate. I didn't know what Long told David, who was my co-star that played Hai. I don't know what he said, but I do know that he told me that all the Dad said was things in relation to freeing myself. So truly, actually, anything, the question that the younger brother has for the older one at the end, the response was from Hai. That's him giving his younger brother final encouragements before he takes off. Because I think, for me, the way I thought about it was like, if it was just him talking to his brother without the mask of his father in front of him, he wouldn't be able to have that that open-heartedness to tell his younger brother those kind of encouraging words, which is often very true for me personally. I can connect to that. It's still hard to this day to encourage my brother to do things unless I put like an excuse in front of it. Like my brother wants to be a fashion designer, so instead of saying you're doing really good, I'm proud of you, I would say like, oh, I have an event coming up. You want to pull some fire fit for me? Like, yeah, no, like everybody loved it. Like I would say that, and that's my version of like I'm saying that. Whether or not people thought it was nice or not was irrelevant.
Any other questions? Oh, back there, and then there's one right there, and the center. All right, Corey, get to
To the one
choose.
to the right. There we go. Point. Raise your hand.
Raise your hand high.
Perfect.
I have a question for the movie Summer Night, in which there were a couple parts where the father was speaking, but the subtitle was not there. I like to believe that that's not a technical error, that it must be intentional, and there must be a reason for that. So I'm curious.
That was a good question.
Yeah, everyone. Oh man, you guys are grilling me about the filmmakers questions. You know, I just was in front of it. I didn't shoot it, right? No, actually, I know the answer to that. That was Long's intention. He was experimenting with the idea that maybe some things are just for us because the emotion gets across, the feeling gets across, and whether or not you guys speak fluently or understand Vietnamese fluently is irrelevant because you can still get the emotion across. It's kind of what he told me. I also asked him, I was like, where's the subtitles, dude? And he goes, I just wanted, you know, the feeling is there, but for those who know, they'll know. Like, if you know, you know. So that was intentional. Were you asking about what the translation was? Okay, you understood it. You knew. Exactly. And Long is in theater too. You can talk to him right afterwards.
So these guys are from like the Vietnamese classes from Laura and Bolsa Grande, so they're like, they should kind of know what's going on.
Okay, good.
Yeah. All right. Other questions in the crowd? Keep your hands raised. There's like a bunch in the center, one on the side. All right.
This is a question for Mike. I know, like in the beginning of the film, Mike like already was like fluent in English, or like he had really good English, and I wondered why you interpreted that, because I know like most Vietnamese people that move here, like the biggest part of moving here is having like a language barrier, and that's what separates us a lot from like most people. And I also want to add that you did a good job casting Mike because he was very fine.
I hate to break. I will have to break you this news. Jackie was supposed to be here today, and then he had a major callback. Otherwise, he would have been sitting next to Tom right now. So, but I will let you. Well, I will definitely let him know that you really enjoyed his performance.
They were really looking for two really good actors.
But thank you for that. So to answer your questions, for me, I see like there's been a lot of like good movies and work of art that really dive deep into that sort of separation in terms of language barrier, and so for me, from my own experience and from others international friends' experience that I've had, where when we were back at home, we were so inundated with American culture. We were listening to the music, watching the movies, playing the video games. We're so good with American slang already when we were at home. And when we went to school over there in Vietnam, still like I understand the language and I know how to speak it in a very American way by that point. And you can kind of, I have to give Grand Theft Auto for that. Like really, I play a lot of Grand Theft Auto, and that's just how I got my American slang in. But so for me, I was interested. The filmmaking team, which have a lot of different international students and international people who came to America, we were interested in going deeper than just the language barrier. For us, like language barrier is still very much a big problem nowadays, and there are still folks who perceive you differently based on how broken or how precise your English is. But for us, we want to look deeper to, okay, getting past that language barrier, what other form of isolation and ignorance are there? Is it based on religions? It is based on your own identity as a Vietnamese? What else is there that really can make people ostracize you in some way. So for us, that was like what our interest in separation was coming from, rather than just the language. But thank you for the question. It was very thoughtful.
One more question from the audience. The one in the center. Oh.
I actually had a question about One Summer Night. So I actually want to know about the props, like the cigarettes you used. But now hold on. I just want to know, were they actually real, or like many of the props that you used in the other movies too, like how they work? Oh wow, that's a good question. Don't smoke. I don't smoke. Whether that's true or not, I have to say that. Most of the time, and I say most because when you get to filmmaking, there's a very fine line between like what will help give the most authentic performance. In our industry, we try not to cross that line too much. So like, if you play drunk, don't actually drink alcohol. Although the first movie I ever shot, they gave me 2 cans of beer and told me to shotgun it, which I did. I don't advise that. So the props cigarettes were all herbal. So they were actually lit, and I was inhaling something, but it was herbal. It was like bush weed, or honey bush is what it was called. It's really smelly. It smells really bad. And that's where like you can just keep smoking it again and again and again, because usually when you film, you're taking multiple takes. Like you're doing that same scene for like 4 at the least takes. And then what other props? The lighter that I kind of threw that on accident, and the prop director really was mad at me. But that's what my dad does when he's mad. He like sticks the thing at you. He's like, and then he throws the thing on the floor. And then what other props were there? I can't remember. Any other ones off the top of your head? Like the hospital equipment. The hospital equipment? Oh, that's all fake. I don't know about that stuff. We were on a set for that one, so that was all fake. Actually, did you ever like cough, or like did it ever hurt your lungs whenever you inhaled it? So even if it's herbal and you're taking it in, it acts just like any other smoking herb that you take in. Not that I would know. But here's the thing, because of angles, you don't have to take it into your lungs. I never took it into my lungs. I just kept it in my mouth. Except and only except when we were doing smoke tricks. It was going by so fast, but if you get a chance to watch it again in slow-mo, like I was doing like a French inhale where like you blow it out and then you inhale it back through your nose, so like the smoke goes up. Then the only way to be able to do that is if you take it into your lungs and like let it out slowly, like that kind of stuff. So sometimes I did take it in, and that's when I cough. Yes. Because I'm an inexperienced smoker, because I'm not a smoker.
Alright. Wait. Let me find one more.
Okay. Okay.
We're almost
Okay, my question is to One Summer Night. So Mike's film was really based off of like South Dakota and that location. So I really just wanted to know where One Summer Night was based off of, and like was there Viet diversity there at all, or like any cultural?
That one is based. Thank you for your question, by the way. That one is based in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. There's a population of Vietnamese in Louisiana, and Long himself is from Louisiana. He's from Baton Rouge, and yeah, it was interesting because we had to do a lot of cultural crossing. Because I don't know a lot of Louisianian, like southern Vietnamese. I said some really dumb stuff. I was like, so do we like eat the car, or should I put jambalaya out on the on the thing? But no, it's just normal. Like it wasn't too focused on the culture. But to expand on both of your questions, this one and then the one before about like the subtitles and is there going to be like a part 2 or something? This is going to be, Long is writing this into a feature film. And I think in the feature version, we're going to get a lot more of Louisiana. I mean, Hui does go to Texas for his job, but Hai stays and takes care of the house. And I'm imagining, from what I understand, it's like a back and forth between like finding yourself in the big city first, and then also getting a lot of like taking on the responsibilities, the whole Louisiana thing. Yeah.
All right, thanks guys for your questions. Now we're gonna do a lightning round of questions.
There's more?
There's more, but it's quicker. All right, your first
We need an
question.
extra microphone for this.
We can
This
share.
should be somewhere back there. I'll set it up.
We
All
can
right.
share. We can share.
All right, thanks guys. Favorite high school activity?
Judo. That's what I did in high school.
No. Drama club.
Drama club. All right. Most memorable teacher?
My drama teacher.
These are crazy good questions.
Think faster.
So only because I skipped out on rehearsals one night because I didn't care, and he came to my house at 10 o'clock at night with like his eyes red, sat me down in my own sofa and was like, get your act together. Except he didn't say it that nicely.
I would like best teacher in high school, right?
Favorite or memorable teacher?
Oh, favorite memorable teacher. Okay, that's easy. Barnett Kelman, he teaches USC. He's a director. He breaks you down. He really roasts you right above your own actors when you're doing rehearsal. But then, like, once you build back up, you learn so much that it's just crazy. And I still think about him to this day.
Your film recommendation?
Okay, I just watch. I only go for recent films. I don't like to say anything that's like all-timer because then I might miss out on great work. I recently watched. It's R-rated. It's a body horror, but it's called The Substance. It's real good. If anybody is a film geeks out there who are okay with body horror, ask your parents.
Yes,
Go see The Substance. The Substance is really good.
Past lives.
Nice. A co-star and actor you would love to work in the future?
Jackie Tran. I would love to work with my actor Jackie Tran one more. He's very much a talent. Aside from his fine look, yes.
I would like to work with Sandra Oh again.
Ooh, all right. What comes to mind when you hear Viet Film Fest?
Warm and love for the Vietnamese communities.
Nice.
The first place that's gonna prop you up and give you what you deserve.
Nice. Good to hear. One final question for you. All right. Your last question is: What are your future projects, and what are you going to be working on in the future? Future projects.
So Mike is also a proof of concept for a feature script. It was actually taken out of a feature version. So me and my producer Chris, who is on the audio auditorium, so we are working together on revising the script as much as we can and just try to get it off the ground. But hopefully that is my next project. So I'll see you guys hopefully in a few years.
Nice.
Sorry, this might be a little lengthy one.
No problem.
We're waiting to hear back to see if our season 2 gets renewed of a TV show that I'm on called The Sympathizer. So if that happens, we'll see your boy again. Thank you. In November, a spin-off of the Assassin's Creed series game called Unknown 9 just shot a series. I'm in that one as well. So that should be dropping in November. I think that's gonna be like a YouTube Red or like a online series. And then I just wrapped working with Peter Phan, who is a Vietnamese director, on a film called Housemates. Peter served as our script supervisor on One Summer Night, and it is a beautiful film. So.
All right. Thank you both. Again, I would like to thank our director, Thuc Nguyen, and award-nominated Tom Dang for being here for our Q&A and attending this film screening with all y'all. So please give a round of applause for all these amazing storytellers.